All right, Shalom Akim, Shalom Yasharallah. First off, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. And I want to give double honor to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us all this truth to rule well. All right, I wanted to go into something, because I saw this video earlier today, and, I was going through history of, Israel, captivities that we went under, so on and so forth. And this man, all right, was basically, he's not under any camp or anything, but he was, has a little bit of knowledge about who the true Israelites are, So he made mention that the so-called Negroes are of the kingdom of Judah, all right? But that's all he was talking about. He said Judah, Judah, Judah. Never said Benjamin, never said Levi. Why? Because that information isn't given to everybody, man. So you may know a lot in the scriptures, and who's to say that brother isn't gonna, one day come into the truth. He has the zeal for the Most High, and he teaches that you should keep the commandments, all right, which we know we can't keep to the fullest, not as of yet, all right, but we are supposed to, try to the best of our ability, and that's what he teaches. So, who knows, the Most High may have him, come into the fold, all right. I'm nobody to say that, he can't, but he never described who the 10 tribes were. He roughly, if even, touched on the subject of Benjamin and Levi. Really, all he was making mention was Judah. All right, and we know that the so-called New Covenant. All right, well, it is the New Covenant. Not so-called, but the so-called New Testament, which means covenant. That word testament means covenant. All right, I believe it's the Greek Strong 1242, if I'm not mistaken. Which means covenant. All right, so the new covenant is really given to Israel, Jeremiah 31 and 31. To Judah and Israel. That means all 12 tribes, man. So he did it, and I looked through his whole, page, and he never really talked about the so-called lost tribes. So I wanted to make a video on that. If I can, I'll post his post a link up in the the description box. But this is Leviticus 26 and 33, because he wasn't wrong about talking about Judah was dispersed throughout the four corners of the earth, mainly Judah, all right, but you also have some Issacharites and some Latin tribes, so-called Latin tribes, all right, dispersed throughout the four corners of the earth, man. When the World Cup happened in Russia, you had a bunch of Issacharites over there in Russia, man. You had a bunch of Asher, all right, and yeah, that some of them were traveling, all right, but those that there was a lot of them that weren't traveling. They were actually from there, So when the World Cup happened, a lot of people were surprised by how much, how many so-called Mexicans were over there in Russia. What was another one? I like to listen to this one guy that talks about soccer, and he lives over there in Spain, and he's a so-called Mexican, man. You have Brazilians, all right, that play soccer or some other type of sport, and they're living in other nations, other countries, all right. So yes, Judah was dispersed throughout the four corners of the earth, but now are all nations, having Israelites, which are Israelite foreigners, throughout the four corners of the earth, man. So it's not just all about Judah. Not everybody's Judah. you know, because there has to be 12,000 out of each tribe. So where are those tribes? If not, all right, where are those tribes? You know, those people that say that the so-called Latinos are not Israelites. So where are they? Where are the 10 tribes, man? They're called lost, you know. So if the so-called Negroes aren't Judites, all right, or if all Negroes are Judites, then who's Benjamin and Levi? You see? And through the spirit of power, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, all right, he's shown me I've met a Levite, and you know, he would always walk around. You know, he might not have read the Bible, all right, as much as, you know, you should, but he always walked around hugging that Bible, man. You know, and I didn't realize what I was seeing, man. All right, not until I came into this truth, and even after I came into the truth, way after, all right, a year after, I realized that man was a Levite, and I realized that he always walked around hugging the Bible. You know, and that should show you, man, that, you know, these spiritual things are only shown to the house of Israel, man. All right, to the election, which, Lord willing, I am part of that number, you know. But I have faith that what I'm doing is correct. All right, I have faith because everything that the elders, the apostles do is out of the scriptures, man. It's not out of their own belly like these other camps, you know. But anyways, Leviticus 26:33, it says, "And I will scatter you among the heathen, all right, and I will draw you out. I will draw out a sword after you." You see? So what happened in the 1400s? You know, late 1400s? Esau Edom went after the so-called lost tribes of Israel. All right, the so-called Latinos, so-called natives. You know? And then what happened in the 1600s? Esau Edom went after who? Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. All right? And that's why we have this 12 tribe chart, man. All right, because this describes Levi being the Haitians, all right, and this man that I was speaking about that would always hug that Bible, he was a so-called Haitian, all right, and he was, man, you could just tell the spirit, man, all right, and it's a beautiful thing because me and him always got along, you know, and he looked at me, and this is the beautiful part too, man. He looked at me and he asked me if I was Egyptian. You know, and I kind of laughed. And I was like, "Why do you say that?" And he was like, "Because you look like you're a Negro, but you also look like you could have been an Egyptian." He's like, the way that you are, this and that. And it was all through the spirit, man. All right? Because what do we know about Egypt? Well, all tribes were in Egypt whenever we went into slavery in Egypt. All right. Now, whenever we came to the Americas, all right, according to the book of Esdras, whenever we came to the Americas, where never no mankind dwelt, all right, that's what we're called, natives. You see. So when we came to the Americas, what did the Latin tribes start doing? Started building pyramids, man. You know. So it's all through the spirit. You know, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And my stepson, which I consider like my own son, you know, I'll teach him about the scriptures. And, you know, he's very, very zealous. All right. I had a dream about him, and he was cleaving onto my leg. All right. Everywhere I was going, he was holding on tight, man. You know. And he could also be a Levite. You know. I told him he's possibly from the tribe of Judah. But I told him he's also possibly from the tribe of Levi, you know. But Levi are the so-called Haitians, man. All right. Benjamin is the West Indians. You know, he call himself Jamaican. All right. When it talks about Benjamin in the scripture, it says he's gonna howl like a wolf, man. All right. And who were, you know, the ones talking about leaving Babylon? All right. Who were the ones talking about going back to the house of the promised land? Benjamin, so-called Jamaicans, man. You know, they would sing beautiful songs, howling like a wolf, man. All right. And Judah, of course, they're the so-called Negroes, because we all follow Judah. All right. Judah makes these music, fashion, all right, everything that Judah does, man. That's like your big brother. All right. You look at your big brother and whatever he does, you try and mimic. You're like, yeah, I want to be that. I want to do that, man. So Judah is the so-called Negroes, man, because you have the Latin tribes. All right, they might not say it in front of Judah. All right, but you have these Latin tribes, and they'll be like, yo, nigga, what's up? What's going, man? What's popping? They'll be talking just like Judah, man. All right, and then when Judah comes, they kind of shut up and they're like, yo, I'm sorry. All right, our people testify to that, man. All right, the so-called Latin tribes talk just like Judah, and you have a lot of people waking up to this truth, man. You have a lot of deceivers, but you also have a lot of people waking up to this truth, So it was foretold that we were going to be scattered, man, and that he was going to send a sword after us. All right, now whose blessing is the sword? We'll go back to Genesis 27 and read the whole chapter, man. Esau, Edom is the sword, and he also is the end of the world, according to 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 9. All right, but according to Ezekiel 37, we're all going to wake up, and Lord willing, I'll get that. All right, it says, then shall the land enjoy her Sabbath. Salaki, let me go back to 33. It says, and your land shall be desolate. And you look at over there at the so-called Fertile Crescent. All right, and it's nothing but wilderness, man. All right, it's a wilderness. Israel is not lush like it used to be, man. It says, and your cities waste. All right. So our ancient cities, they're not what they used to be. They're not at the glorious state that they used to be in. And that's up to date. It says, then shall the land enjoy her Sabbaths. All right, that's after we come back to our rulership. The land is going to enjoy her Sabbaths. Or Salaki, that's right now, because the land isn't being worked on. It says, as long as it lieth desolate. You see? So the land is enjoying her Sabbaths, which means what? A Sabbath is a day of rest, man. Which, right now, today, so-called Friday, the 6th of 9/6/19, all right, is a Sabbath. All right? So we can't enjoy our Sabbath. Why? Because we have to work, man. All right? We have to go to work. You have to be doing these things for Esau, Edom. But it says, verse 35, as long as it lieth desolate, it shall rest. And it is desolate, so that's why it's resting. But when the kingdom comes, all right, it's not going to be desolate anymore. We're still going to let her enjoy her Sabbaths. All right, that's why I got confused, or that's why I spoke. All right, because the land is still going to enjoy its Sabbaths, because when Israel is back in power under Yahweh and under Yahweh Shai, then everybody's going to enjoy their Sabbaths, man. The land, the people, all right? We're going to enjoy the Sabbaths, because the law, statutes, and commandments are going to be brought in a full effect, all right? It says, because it did not rest in your Sabbaths when ye dwelt upon it, all right? And right now, no land, except for what is the desolate wilderness, all right? But here in America, you don't have land that is enjoying the Sabbaths, all right? Because you have Esau, Edom working the land 24/7. That's why you have Jacob in the fields, up to date, working the fields, man. Because there's no rest. That's why you have crops that are not coming out to their full potential. They're premature, They're not giving out like they should. Why? Because there's no Sabbath. There's no rest. All right? It's like I saw this documentary. It's pretty gruesome. It's pretty hard to look at. But it was about chicken. All right? Chickens aren't giving any rests. The female chickens are just popping eggs, and popping eggs, and popping eggs, and popping eggs. They're not given any rest. So what happened to that female chicken? Eventually, all her insides come out. All right, because she's not given rest. She's not given time to recuperate. All right, as soon as it pops out eggs, it's inseminated with sperm to start bringing forth more chicken. All right, more eggs. So what do they do with her? They do away with her, destroy her. All right, because eventually it won't give out eggs like it does. You know, eventually it won't pop out as many eggs as it should. Why? Because it's not giving them any rest, man. And that's how the land is right now. All right, the land has not been given any rest, and that's why it's not popping out fruit like it should. It's not being fruitful. All right, and that's why there was a shortage just recently in some certain Walmarts. All right, because the crops haven't been growing back. You know. Verse 36, and upon them that are left alive of you, I will send a faintness into their hearts in the land of their enemies, and the sound of a shaken leaf shall chase them, and they shall flee as fleeing from a sword, and they shall fall when none pursueth. All right, and why is that? Because we turn wicked. All right, like it says in I believe it's Proverbs 18 and 10. All right, let me get that. It says Proverbs 18 and 10. The name of Yahweh is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. All right. So if we don't run into the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, then what are we? Wicked. All right. Like Scripture states, the righteous are as bold as a lion, and the wicked fleeth when no one pursueth. All right, because we weren't righteous, man. All right, and that's why we were falling, because we fell from our power. All right. So let me try and get Deuteronomy 4. All right, I'm driving over here. Just got out of camp. Deuteronomy 4 and 27. Oh shit. It says, and Yahweh shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither Yahweh shall lead you. All right. So we were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, man. You know. So for people to say, oh, the so-called Latin tribe, all right, they're not Israelites, you know, because the so-called conquistadors, all right, the Edomites came over here to these lands and raped and murdered, you know, everyone. You know, you don't have faith in the Most High, man, because guess what? That's what they did to the so-called Negroes. All right, raped, robbed, and murdered, man. All right. And if a white man, a so-called white man, all right, puts seed into a so-called black woman, a so-called Negro woman, then guess what the kid's gonna look like? Light skin. All right. So not all Israel are of Israel, man. Not everybody that looks like a Jew is a Jew. All right. Not everybody that looks like Judah is actually of Judah. You see what I'm saying? It says, verse 28. And there ye shall serve gods, and work men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. And guess what happened? Catholicism, Christianity. All right, we worship gods, man. All right, that's what happened to Israel, and that happened to both Negroes, all right, Latinos, and also to Native Americans. All right, they were forced they were beat into submission, all right, to convert unto their Christianity. know, that were beaten to submission, man. And that goes for the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. You know, both of them suffered. What other manner of people suffered what we suffered? All right? What other group of people have gone into captivity? What other group of people have been made to serve? What other group of people is discriminated against like we are? Nobody. Because we're all one and the same, man. All right? And our people need to learn that. There you have Blake Griffin's father, a dark-skinned man, all right, has sex with a heathen woman, and they brought forth Blake Griffin that looks like a so-called white man, all right, but he's actually a Negro. And then you have his son, because he mixed with a so-called heathen woman, and then his son looks even more like a white man, all right. So what do you think happened to the Latin tribes, man? Ephraim is a cake not turned. All right? When you don't turn a cake, one side is dark that saw the heat, and the side that didn't see the heat, guess what? It's going to be pretty pale. All right? I don't know if anybody's ever made pancakes. All right? But when you put a pancake into the pan, all right, the upside is going to look pale. And the bottom side is going to be nice and tan. All right? But then when you put that cake unturned, when you turn that cake, both sides are going to be dark. And you have some Jakes that are fully dark. All right? Some so-called Latinos that are fully dark. You know, with kinky curly hair. And then you have some so-called Negroes, you know, that are actually albino looking, you know. So the Most High scattered us throughout the four corners of the earth, man. That means we're gonna look like other nations, you know. It's all according to the spirit. You're not a Jew, all right, as in appearance, but you're a Jew inwardly, which applies to only Israel. All right, you can't be out of the nation of Israel and be a Jew inward. All right, because as we read in Romans 9, it tells you that what's it called? The covenants belong to Israel. All right, the adoption belongs to Israel. All right, so it's really grafting in Israelites back into their power. You know, so let me get Deuteronomy 32 and verse 26. It says, so like, let me start off at verse 25. It says, the sword without and terror within shall destroy both the young man and the virgin, the sucking also with the man of gray hairs, or the suckling also with the man of gray hairs. All right. I said I would scatter them into corners. I would make them the remembrance, or I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. And to be honest, all right, I didn't even think about Israelites, man. All right, that thought never came up into my mind. Israelites. All right. Yeah, I knew about Israel. All right, I knew a little tiny bit, minimal about Israelites. But the thought of Israelites ruling over the world, I never thought about that. I never even thought about who the Israelites were, man. You know? So no other nation, even if say an Edomite says that he is of the nation of Israel, and they try to follow after Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, guess what? Eventually they're going to fall out because they're not part of it. You know? But yet here you have a lot of brothers, all right, from Issachar, Ephraim, all right, which is according to this board, all right, so-called Colombians, you have so-called Uruguayans, you have so-called Argentinians, so-called Brazilians, all right, you have all these brothers that are coming out, you know, confessing the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. That proves that they're Israelites. You know, not anybody can do that, especially going out to the highways and the byways, confessing the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. It's even that much harder, man. You know? It didn't seem hard to me, because to me, man, fuck this world, man. If I look like a dumbass, all right, out there preaching this word, then fuck them. All right, I'd rather see salvation and look like a dumbass in this side and to be a king in the other than to look like a king on this side and be a fucking dumbass in the next. You see what I'm saying? And that's also in the book of Psalms. You know, a day in the kingdom of heaven is not to be compared to 1,000 good days here in this earth, man. All right. Verse 26 again, it says, I said I would scatter them into corners. I would make the remembrance of them cease among men. All right. And that's what the Most High did. He made us forget who we were, man. All right. When you go into the breakdown, you know, which you have to have the breakdown of all these 12 tribes. But the one that always sticks out more to me, I don't know if it's maybe because I'm from that tribe or what, but the breakdown of Issachar, man, it goes so deep. All right, it just goes so deep, man. You know. And then you have, you know, Zebulon, which Zebulon was going to be a haven of ships, and then you have the Panama Canal, you know, which is a haven of ships, man. All right, and they dwelt close to who? Issachar. All right, so Issachar and Zebulon were going to dwell together. Then you have the so-called Haitians, you know, that were going to dwell next to the Dominican Republic, and they were going to be split in Israel, all right, and scattered in Jacob, you know. But then you have the lands, all right, and the lands, you have a fine line. You literally have a fine line that splits them up, you know. So the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai isn't dealing with everybody, all right. So if you don't believe in the 12 tribe chart, you know, that's on you. All right. That damn nation is going to fall on you, man. You know, because you don't have the spirit. You don't have the spirit to see these things. All right. It says, were it not that I fear the wrath of the enemy, lest their adversaries should behave themselves strangely, and lest they should say, our hand is high, and Yahweh have not done this. All right. But really, these nations are saying that right now. All right. Oh, the Most High didn't do this. All right. They think that the Most High is with them. You know. Let me get Isaiah 47. In verse 5, it says, sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the lady of kingdoms. All right. It says, I was wroth with my people. I have polluted my inheritance. All right. So in the last days, we were going to be in that last kingdom, which is what? Babylon the Great, which is also known as America. All right. Why? Because the bulk of the Israelites are going to be here, man. You know, because the Most High, the Most High was wroth with his people. He was angry at his people for breaking, you know, the covenant that they had. It says, I have polluted my inheritance. Why? Because we've mixed amongst these nations, man. All right. And we look like these nations. You know, it says, and given them into thine hand, thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou verily heavily laid the yoke. All right. So slavery is the worst thing that America has done. Why? All right. Because of the things that are coming to pass and the things that will come to pass, that destruction is going to bite you in the ass, man. And thou said, I shall be a lady forever. So thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. All right. So if I go back to Deuteronomy, Deuteronomy, what was it, 32 and 29. Salakia, I gotta use the restroom. But Deuteronomy 32 and 29, it says, oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, that they would consider the latter end. All right. So if Esau Edom was wise, they would have considered that the Most High gave us into his hand. All right. But like we read, Salakia, like we read in Isaiah 47 and verse 7. And thou says, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. You see? So if you were wise, you would remember. But guess what? You didn't remember. It's prophesied that you wouldn't remember. You know? So these Latin tribes, man, they're also Israelites. All right? You can see it by the way their spirit works, man. And that's why scriptures say, try the spirit by the spirit. All right? So with that, I guess that's going to be part 1. You know, Lord